Scripture portions of the day. Day 331.
Matthew 13, OANT. But that day Yeshua went out from the house, and he sat down by the seaside. And great crowds were assembled to him, so that he embarked, seating himself in a ship. And all the crowds were standing on the beach by the sea. And he was speaking much with them in parables, and he said, Behold, a sower went out to sow. But as he sowed, some seed fell on the side of the road, and the birds came and ate it. And others fell on the rock, where there was not much soil. And within an hour it had sprouted, because he had no depth in soul. But when the sun arose, it became hot, and because there was no roots, it dried up. And others fell amongst the thorns, and the thorns came up and choked it. And others fell in the good soil, and it yielded fruit, some 100-fold, and some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Whoever has an ear that hears, let him hear. And his disciples approached, and they were saying to him, Why are you speaking with them in parables? But he answered and said to them, It has not been given to you to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For to one who has it, it will be given, and it will be increased. And from him who has it not, it will be taken that which he has. Therefore, I am speaking to them in parables, because they who see do not see, and those who hear neither hear nor understand. And the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled in them, which says, Hearing you will hear, and you will not understand, and seeing you will see, and will not know. For the heart of his people have become dense, and they have hardly heard with their ears and their eyes. They have shut, lest they would see with their eyes, and they would hear with their ears, and that they would understand with their hearts, and they would be converted, and I will heal them. But you have blessings to your eyes, that they are seeing, and to your ears, that they are hearing. For I say to you that many prophets and righteous ones have yearned to see the things that you are seeing, and they did not see them, and hearing the things that you are hearing, and they did not hear them. But hearing the parable of the seed, everyone who hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand, the evil one comes into him, and snatches the word which was sown in his heart. And this is which was sown upon the roadside. But that which was sown upon the rock is the one who hears the word, and immediately he with joy receives it. But there were no roots in him, but he is temporal, and when there is distress or persecution because of the word, immediately he falls apart. And that which was sown amongst the thorns is the one who hears the word, and the cares of this world and deception of wealth chokes the word, and that one is fruitless. But that which was sown on the good soil is he who hears my word, and understands, and he yields fruit, and produces some by hundreds, and some by 60s, and some by 30s. And he told them another parable, and said, The kingdom of heaven is likened to the man who sowed good seed in the field. While men slept, and his enemy came, and sowed tares amongst the wheat, and he left. And when the grass sprouted, it produced fruit, when the tares also appeared. And the servants of the Lord of the house approached and said to him, Our Lord, did you not sow seed in the field? And where are these tares in it? But he said to them, An enemy has gone and done this. My servant said to him, Do you want us to select them out? And he said to them, When you collect the tares, would you not uproot the wheat with them? Let both grow together until the harvest and the time of the harvest. And I shall say to the reapers, Select out the tares first, and bind them in the bundles to burn, but gather the wheat to my granary. He told another parable to them and said, The kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man had taken and sown in the field. And this is the smallest of all seeds, but whenever it has grown, it is the greatest of all small herbs, and has become a tree, so that the bird of the sky may come settle in its branches. And he told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is likened to a yeast, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, until all had fermented. Yeshua spoke all these things in parables to the crowd, and without a parable he was not speaking with them, so that the thing which was spoken by the prophets would be fulfilled, which says, I shall open their mouth in parables, and I shall declare things from before the foundations of the world. When Yeshua left the crowds and came to the house, and his disciples came to him, And they were saying to him, Explain to us the parable of the tares in the field. And he answered to them, and he said to them, He who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, but the good seed is the children of the kingdom. And the tares are the children of the evil one. The enemy who sowed them is Satan, but the harvest is at the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be in the end of this world. And the Son of Man will send his angels, and they will select from the kingdom of all those stumbling blocks and all those evildoers. And they will cast them into the essence of fire, and there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when the righteous will shine as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has an ear, let him hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is likened to a treasure that was hid in the field, which a man found and hid. In his joy he went selling everything that he had, and he bought the field. And again, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a merchant who was searching the precious pearls. And when he found a certain, obviously valuable pearl, he went and sold everything that he had to buy it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was cast into the sea, and it collected every kind. But when it was full, they brought it up to the seashore, and they sat and selected out, and they placed the good in vessels, and the bad they threw out. Thus it will be as in the end of the world. The angels will go forth, and they will separate the wicked amongst the righteous, and they will cast them in the essence of fire. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeshua said to them, Have you understood all these things? They were saying to him, Yes, our Lord. And he said to them, Because of this, every scribe who is instructed for the kingdom of heaven is like a man, a house owner, who brings forth his treasure, new and old. And it was when Yeshua had finished these parables, he departed from there. And he came to the city, and he taught them in the synagogue, so that they would marvel, and they would say, From where does this have such wisdom and miracles? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Miriam, and his brothers Jacob and Jose and Simeon and Judah? And are not all his sisters with us? And where does he have all these things? And they were suspicious of him. But Yeshua said to them, There is no prophet who is despised except in his city and in his home. And he did not do many miracles there because of their suspicion. Deuteronomy 29, Septuagint. And these are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moses called all the sons of Israel and said to them, You have seen all these that Jehovah did in the land of Egypt before you, to Pharaoh and his servants and all his land. The great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs, and those great wonders. Yet Jehovah Elohim has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear until this day. And he led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your garments will not grow old, and your sandals will not be worn off your feet. You did not eat bread, you did not drink wine, nor strong drink, that ye might know that I am Jehovah your Elohim. And you came as far as this place, and there came forth Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, to meet us in war. And we smote them, and took their land. And I gave it as an inheritance to Reuben and Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. And ye shall take heed to do all the words of this covenant, that you may understand all the things you shall do. You all stand today before Jehovah thy Elohim, the heads of your tribes, and your elders and judges, and your officers, every man of Israel, your wives, your children, and the stranger that is in the midst of your camp, from your hewer of woods even to the drawer of water, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant of Jehovah thy Elohim, and into his oaths, as many as Jehovah thy Elohim appoints to thee this day, that he may appoint thee to himself for a people, and they might be thy Elohim, as he said to thee, and as he sware to thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And I do not appoint to you alone this covenant and this oath, but to those also who are here with you today before Jehovah your Elohim, and to those who are not here with you today. For you know how we dwell in the land of Egypt, how we come through the midst of the nations through whom ye came, And ye beheld their abominations, and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which are among them. Lest there be among you a man, or woman, or family, tribe, whose heart has turned aside from Jehovah thy Elohim, having gone to serve the gods of these nations, lest there be a root of spring up to you with gall and bitterness. And it shall be, if one shall hear the words of this curse, and shall flatter himself in his heart, saying, Let good happen to me, for I will walk in the air of my heart, lest the sinner destroy the guiltless with him. Elohim shall by no means be willing to pardon him. But then the wrath of Elohim, Jehovah, and his jealousy shall flame out against the man, and all the curses of that covenant shall attach themselves to him, which are written in this book, and Jehovah shall blot out his name from under heaven. And Jehovah shall separate that man from evil of all the children of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law. And another generation shall say, Even your sons shall rise up after you, and the stranger who shall come from the land afar off shall see the plagues of the land, and their diseases, which Jehovah has sent upon it. Brimstone, burning salt, the whole land shall not be sown, neither shall any green thing spring, nor rise upon it. As Sodom and Gomorrah were overthrown, Adam and Sebonim, which Jehovah overthrew in his wrath and anger. And all the nations shall say, Why has Jehovah done this to this land? And what is this great fierceness of anger? And men shall say, Because they forsook the covenant to Jehovah Elohim of their fathers, and things which he appointed to their fathers, which he brought them out of the land of Egypt. And he went and served other gods, and they knew not, neither did he assign them to them. And Jehovah was exceedingly angry in the land, to bring upon it according to all the curses which are written in the book of the law. And Jehovah removed them from their land in anger and wrath and very great indignation, cast them out in another land at the present. And the secret things that belong to Jehovah, our Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and our children forever, to do all the words of this law.
Zechariah 11:1. Open thy doors, O Libanus, and let the fire devour thy cedars. 2. Let the pine howl, because the cedar has fallen, for the mighty men have been greatly afflicted. Howl, ye oaks of the land of Basan, for the thickly planted forest has been torn down. 3. There is a voice of the shepherds mourning, for their greatness is brought low. A voice of roaring lions, for the pride of Jordan is brought down. 4. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, feed the sheep of the slaughter. 5. Which their possessors have slain, and have not repented. And they that sold them said, Blessed be Jehovah, for we have become rich. And their shepherds have suffered no sorrow for them. 6. Therefore I will no longer have mercy upon the inhabitants of the land, saith Jehovah. But, behold, I will deliver up the men every one into the hand of his neighbor, and into the hand of his king, and they shall destroy the land, and I will not rescue out of their hand. 7. And I will tend the flock of slaughter in the land of Chanaan. And I will take for myself 2 rods, the one I called Beauty, and the other I called Line, and I will tend the flock. 8. And I will cut off 3 shepherds in 1 month, and my soul shall grieve over them, for their souls cried out against me. 9. And I said, I will not tend you. That which dies, let it die, and that which falls off, let it fall off, and let the rest eat every one the flesh of his neighbor. 10. And I will take my beautiful staff, and cast it away, that I may break my covenant which I made with all the people. 11. And it shall be broken in that day, and the Canaanites, the sheep that are kept for me, shall know that it is the word of Jehovah. 12. And I will say to them, If it be good in your eyes, give me my price, or refuse it. And they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver. 13. And Jehovah said to me, Drop them into the furnace, and I will see if it is good metal, as I was proved for their sakes. And I took the 30 pieces of silver, and cast them into the furnace in the house of Jehovah. 14. And I cast away my per second rod even line, that I might break the possession between Judah and Israel. 15. And Jehovah said to me, Take yet to thee shepherds implements belonging to an unskillful shepherd. 16. For, behold, I will raise up a shepherd against the land. He shall not visit that which is perishing, and he shall not seek that which is scattered, and he shall not heal that which is bruised, nor guide that which is whole. But he shall devour the flesh of the choice ones, and shall dislocate the joints of their necks. 17. Alas for the vain shepherds that have forsaken the sheep. The sword shall be upon the arms of such a one, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be completely withered, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Zechariah 12. 1. The burden of the word of Jehovah for Israel, saith Jehovah, that stretches out the sky, and lays the foundation of the earth, and forms the spirit of man within him. 2. Behold, I will make Jerusalem as trembling door posts to all the nations round about, and in Judea there shall be a siege against Jerusalem. 3. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will make Jerusalem a trodden stone to all the nations. Every one that tramples on it shall utterly mock at it, and all the nations of the earth shall be gathered together against it. 4. In that day, saith Jehovah Almighty, I will smite every horse with amazement, and his rider with madness. But I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite all the horses of the nations with blindness. 5. And the captains of thousands of Judah shall say in their hearts, We shall find for ourselves the inhabitants of Jerusalem and Jehovah Almighty their Elohim. 6. In that day I will make the captains of thousands of Judah as a firebrand among wood, and as a torch of fire in stubble, and they shall devour on the right hand and on the left all the nations round about. And Jerusalem shall dwell again by herself even in Jerusalem. 7. And Jehovah shall save the tabernacles of Judah as at the beginning, that the boast of the house of David, and the pride of the inhabitants of Jerusalem, may not magnify themselves against Judah. 8. And it shall come to pass in that day that Jehovah shall defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the weak one among them in that day shall be as David, and the house of David as the house of Elohim, as the angel of Jehovah before them. 9. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. 10. And I will pour upon the house of David, and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and compassion. And they shall look upon me, because they have mocked me, and they shall make lamentation for him, as for a beloved friend, and they shall grieve intensely, as for a firstborn son. 11. In that day the lamentation in Jerusalem shall be very great, as the mourning for the pomegranate grove cut down in the plain. 12. And the land shall lament in separate families, the family of the house of David by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the house of Nathan by itself, and their wives by themselves. 13. The family of the house of Levi by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of Simeon by itself, and their wives by themselves. 14. All the families that are left, each family by itself, and their wives by themselves.
Proverbs 21. Septuagint. As a rush of water, so is the king's heart in Elohim's hand. He turns it wherever he may desire to point out. Every man seems to himself righteous, but Jehovah directs the hearts, to do justly, and to speak truth. More are pleasing to Elohim than the blood of sacrifices. A high-minded man is a stout-hearted in his pride, and the lamp of the wicked is sin. He that gathers treasures with a lying tongue pursues vanity on the snares of death. Destruction shall lodge with the ungodly, for they refuse to do justly. To the froward Elohim sends froward ways. To his works are pure and right. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than it is in plastered rooms with unrighteousness and with an open house. The soul of the ungodly shall not be pitied by any man. When an intemperate man is punished, the simple becomes wiser, and the wise man understands will receive knowledge. A righteous man understands the heart of the ungodly, and despises the ungodly for their wickedness. He that stops his heart from hearing from the poor, himself also shall cry, and there shall be none to hear him. A secret gift calms anger, but he that forbears to give stirs up strong wrath. It is the joy of the righteous to do judgment, but a holy man is abomination to evildoers. A man that wanders out of the way of righteousness shall rest in the congregation of giants. A poor man gives mirth, loving wine, oil in abundance, and the transgressor is the abomination of the righteous man. But it is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a quarrelsome and talkative and passionate wife. A desirable treasure will rest in the mouth of the wise, but a foolish man will swallow it up. The way of righteousness and mercy will find life and glory. A wise man assaults strong cities and demolishes fortresses in which the ungodly trusted. He that keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps his soul from trouble. But a self-willed and insolent man is also called a pest. He that remembers injuries is a transgressor. Desire, kill the sluggard, for his hands do not choose to do anything. A godly man entertains evil desires all day, but the righteous is unsparing, merciful, and compassionate. The sacrifices of the ungodly are abomination to Jehovah, for they offer them wickedly. A false witness shall perish, but an obedient man will speak cautiously. An ungodly man imprudently withstands his face, but the upright man himself understands his ways. There is no wisdom, there is no courage, there is no counsel against the ungodly. A horse is prepared for the day of battle, but help is of Jehovah.
Proverbs 22:1. A fair name is better than much wealth, and good favor is above silver and gold. 2. The rich and the poor meet together, but Jehovah made them both. 3. An intelligent man seeing a bad man severely punished is himself instructed, but fools pass by and are punished. 4. The fear of Jehovah is the offspring of wisdom, and wealth, and glory, and life. 5. Thistles and snares are in perverse ways, but he that keeps his soul will refrain from them. 7. The rich will rule over the poor, and servants will lend to their own masters. 8. He that sows wickedness shall reap troubles, and shall fully receive the punishment of his deeds. Elohim loves a cheerful and liberal man, but a man shall fully prove the folly of his works. 9. He that has pity on the poor shall himself be maintained, for he has given of his own bread to the poor. He that gives liberally secures victory and honor, but he takes away the life of them that possess them. 10. Cast out a pestilent person from the council, and strife shall go out with him, for when he sits in the council he dishonors all. 11. Jehovah loves holy hearts, and all blameless persons are acceptable with him. A king rules with his lips. 12. But the eyes of Jehovah preserve discretion, but the transgressor despises wise words. 13. The sluggard makes excuses, and says there is a lion in the ways, and murderers in the streets. 14. The mouth of a transgressor is a deep pit, and he that is hated of Jehovah shall fall into it. Evil ways are before a man, and he does not like to turn away from them, but it is needful to turn aside from a perverse and bad way. 15. Folly is attached to the heart of a child, but the rod and instruction are then far from him. 16. He that oppresses the poor increases his own substance, yet gives to the rich so as to make it less. 17. Incline thine ear to the words of wise men. Hear also my word, and apply thine heart. 18. That thou mayest know that they are good. And if thou lay them to heart, they shall also gladden thee on thy lips. 19. That thy hope may be in Jehovah, and he may make thy way known to thee. 20. And do thou too repeatedly record them for thyself on the table of thine heart, for counsel and knowledge. 21. I therefore teach thee truth, and knowledge good to hear, that thou mayst answer words of truth to them that question thee. 22. Do no violence to the poor, for he is needy. Neither dishonor the helpless man in the gates. 23. For Jehovah will plead his cause, and thou shalt deliver thy soul in safety. 24. Be not companion to a furious man, neither lodge with a passionate man. 25. Lest thou learn of his ways, and get snares to thy soul. 26. Become not surety from respect of a man's person. 27. For if those have not whence to give compensation, they will take the bed that is under thee. 28. Remove not the old landmarks, which thy fathers placed. 29. It is fit that an observant man and one diligent in his business should attend on kings, and not attend on slothful men.